Sara Bazoobandi is a Marie Curie Fellow at the GIGA Institute of Middle East Studies and joins us now from Hamburg in Germany. Sara, thank you for your time. The US Treasury in the past hour or so has sanctioned Iran's morality police. The US Treasury says that police force was responsible for Amini's death. Who are the morality police?
Well, allow me to offer a new terminology for this institution. These are not morality police. They are basically hijab police. Their sole purpose for the existence of these forces is to go to public spaces, from shopping malls to streets to train stations to universities, and observe the dress code of women, which are often quite conservatively covered from head to toe, and harass them basically in public spaces and arrest them and force them to write letters to commit that they're not going to repeat this kind of behavior in public. Sometimes they face longer imprisonment if they are protesting by not completely wearing hijab. There are quite a few young women at the moment that they received decades of imprisonment sentences for this kind of activities, civil activities. There is also financial penalty. So they, for some of these Iranian females that are being arrested and harassed by this hijab police. So what happens is that over years, these organizations, these institutions have always existed since the revolution, but their strategies and the way that they behaved in the public with the citizens was ever so slightly different during different periods of times. And at the moment, what happens, especially during the time of President Raisi, they launched a new campaign to control women behavior and women dress code in public space. And Mahsa was the first case that was led to death of a person who was arrested. But there are several videos over the past months that have been circulated in social media amongst Iranian users, amongst international users, that shows the brutality and the violence that these forces use against women at the time of arrest, specifically, and then later on when they are in custody.
What is the status of women's rights in Iran? I mean, we're seeing pictures from just about 24 hours ago at the UN General Assembly. Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi, he called out the West. He said, you in the West, you have double standards about women's rights.
Well, I don't think President Raisi is in a very favorable position to comment about human rights and specifically about women's rights, because he has track record of allegations of being involved in mass killing of Iranian opposition during the 80s, which he always rejects, by the way. There has been, he's been the head of judiciary, and the judiciary is one of the institutions that heavily suppressed women post-revolution when it comes to right to work, when it comes to right to divorce, the right to custody of children, to right of even holding a passport as an Iranian female is quite challenging. So I do take that as just a pushback, which doesn't really have very much, underlying logic and a very strong reasoning behind it, the statements that he made, because the track record of treating Iranian women since the revolution is quite, out in the public. I don't even have to get into the details of it.
Yeah. Do you think that these protests are growing into something else rather than how they began after the death of this 22-year-old young woman?
Look, when 2019 violent crackdown of the Islamic Republic happened against the protesters, several hundreds of people were reportedly dead, killed by the security forces, shot in the streets by the security forces. Several thousands of people were in prison. A few cases died in prison. Everybody thought that that's the end of any sort of social civil movement. Any
Sara,
sort of
I'm really sorry.
in
I'm going to have to cut you off there. I'm so sorry. But obviously, it's something that we really appreciate you analysing for us on TRT World. And we're leaving you because we're going to hear